seek no comfort in being liked. Seek strength in being respected. Approval fades. Authority endures. Most people grow up chasing the feeling of being liked. It starts early. You learn to smile when you do not mean it, soften your voice so you do not come off too strong, and adjust your personality to whatever version earns the most approval. It feels safe, it feels familiar, and for a while it feels like the right way to move through the world. But as you get older, something shifts. You realize people who bend themselves to be liked rarely get taken seriously. They are welcomed, but not followed. They are invited, but not trusted with anything that matters. They are appreciated in the moment, but forgotten when decisions are being made. Machiavelli understood this long before modern culture turned likability into a full-time job. In his eyes, a leader who seeks to be liked above all else becomes predictable, vulnerable, and easy to manipulate. People use them but do not respect them. People smile at them but never fear disappointing them. And once you lose the power to disappoint someone, you lose the power to influence them. Respect, on the other hand, changes everything. It creates space, it shapes behavior, it makes people think twice before crossing your boundaries. This video explores the difference between being liked and being respected, using Machiavellian principles to understand why approval is cheap and respect is priceless. These ideas are not about cruelty or dominance. They are about clarity, boundaries, and self-command. If you want strength without becoming harsh, influence without performing, and confidence without needing applause, then unlocking the dark power of respect is where it starts. 1. Why being liked weakens you more than you realize. Many people confuse being liked with being valued. The truth is that likability is often tied to convenience. People like you because you make their lives easier. You say yes when you want to say no. You soften your opinions to keep the peace. You give more than you should because you fear what happens when you stop giving. The problem is that the more you behave this way, the more people start treating your kindness as an obligation instead of a choice. What once made you likable becomes the reason you are overlooked. When your self-worth hinges on how others feel about you, you hand them the controls to your behavior. You start adjusting your entire identity to fit expectations you never agreed to. You laugh at things that do not amuse you. You tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict, and you hide your frustration so you seem pleasant. But people can sense when someone is desperate for acceptance. It makes them lose interest or push boundaries because they assume you will tolerate it. Niceness without authenticity looks weak, not warm. Being liked also keeps you in a loop of hesitation. You hesitate to set limits. You hesitate to assert yourself. You hesitate to call out what is wrong. Every time you swallow your real feelings to protect someone else's comfort, you teach them that your comfort does not matter. And once people learn that lesson, they rarely unlearn it. If you want to build authority, you must first stop being afraid of disappointing people who benefit from your silence. 2. The Machiavellian view of power and perception. Machiavelli believed that human nature is predictable. He argued that people respond more strongly to consequences than to kindness. From his perspective, a leader who depends on affection becomes exposed because affection disappears the moment things get difficult. People abandon what they like. They obey what they respect. This view may sound harsh, but it reflects a simple truth. People test limits, often without thinking, and only boundaries backed by conviction truly hold. In Machiavelli's world, power is less about dominance and more about perception. If people see you as easily swayed, they handle you casually. But if they sense that you are deliberate, firm, and willing to act on your principles, their behavior changes around you. They speak more carefully. They consider your needs. They think before wasting your time. This shift has nothing to do with fear in a brutal sense. It is the natural outcome of self-respect radiating outward. When you hold your line, others align with it. At the core of Machiavelli's advice is a simple idea. Human loyalty is inconsistent. Gratitude fades, warm feelings fade. But respect created through clarity and strength lasts longer because it is rooted in your actions, not their moods. Respect is built on expectation, consistency, and consequence. When people know what you stand for and what you will not tolerate, they adjust themselves to match your standard, and that is the foundation of real influence. 3. The psychology of respect versus liking. Liking is emotional, it is soft, flexible, and often situational. People like you because you make them feel comfortable, entertained, or understood. But these feelings shift depending on their own stress, selfish needs, or personal struggles. Someone can like you today and forget you tomorrow. Respect, however, triggers an entirely different psychological response. Respect makes people take you seriously, even when they disagree with you. It makes them think twice before taking advantage of you, because they understand the cost of doing so. Respect is grounded in boundaries. When people see that you do not hand out your time, energy, or affection without purpose, they view you as someone who values themselves, and people are drawn to those who value themselves, because self-respect signals capability. It signals strength. It signals that you are not looking for permission to exist. People recognize when someone stands on a solid inner foundation and instinctively adjust their behavior around it. They speak more honestly. They behave more reliably. They show more effort. Being liked rarely demands anything from others. Being respected requires effort, consistency, and awareness. People respect you when they see you follow through on your words. They respect you when you set clear limits and maintain them. They respect you when you stay calm under pressure and assertive when it counts. Respect is built from the inside out, and once you have it, you do not need to chase affection. People may still like you, but now the liking sits on top of something stronger and far more stable. 4. How boundaries create authority. People often misunderstand boundaries as walls meant to push others away. In reality, boundaries work like filters. They let the right people in, keep the wrong people out, and prevent your energy from being drained by those who do not value it. Without boundaries, the lines between what you allow and what you oppose become blurry. People do not take unclear lines seriously. They push, and they keep pushing, because nothing pushes back. Boundaries introduce weight to your presence. They tell others that your time, values, and comfort matter. Authority grows from the consistent enforcement of those boundaries. The mistake many people make is announcing limits they never follow through on. They say no, then cave. They call something unacceptable, then allow it. That inconsistency teaches others that your words are flexible. When your boundaries shift depending on your mood or someone else's reaction, people see you as someone they can negotiate down. Authority requires something firmer. It requires the willingness to stand by your line, even when you know people will be uncomfortable or disappointed. Once you establish boundaries as non-negotiable, you become someone who can be trusted. People know where they stand with you. They know what you allow, what you reject, and what matters to you. This makes your relationships cleaner and your interactions more efficient. Respect grows in these environments because clarity removes confusion. You are not forcing others to walk on eggshells. You are giving them a stable structure they can rely on, which is one of the quickest paths to earning respect. 5. Why fear of disapproval controls most people. Many people stay addicted to being liked because they fear what happens when they stop performing. They imagine that setting limits will make them look rude, distant, or selfish. They imagine people turning against them. This fear is powerful because it is rooted in childhood conditioning, where approval meant safety and disapproval meant trouble. As adults, those emotional reactions still fire, even when the stakes are low. The fear of being judged, disliked, or confronted keeps people quiet and agreeable, even when their instincts are screaming for change. The problem with this mindset is that it blinds you to the cost of constant self-sacrifice. Every time you avoid saying what you really think, you reinforce the belief that your voice doesn't matter. Every time you say yes out of fear instead of choice, you train people to treat your time as a resource they own. The fear of disapproval traps you in a cycle where your comfort always comes last, and ironically, the people you are trying to please rarely appreciate the effort. They get used to your compliance, and once that happens, the cost of reclaiming your boundaries becomes even higher. Breaking free from this fear requires confronting one truth: disapproval is not the same as danger. Someone being annoyed or disappointed does not mean you failed. It means you stopped abandoning yourself. People may not like the new version of you, but that is because the old version benefited them more. When you finally let go of the need to be liked, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. That switch is where real power begins. 6. The shift from niceness to strength. Niceness is easy to fake. Strength is not. People can smile and compliment you with no sincerity behind it. They can be friendly while taking advantage of you. Niceness alone does not reveal character. Strength, on the other hand, exposes your core. It shows that you are willing to speak up, to take action, and to hold your ground. Shifting from niceness to strength does not mean becoming cold or harsh. It means becoming someone who no longer sacrifices their identity for temporary approval. Strength changes the room you walk into. People listen differently. They adjust their tone. They respect your time. They think before making demands. This shift is not about intimidation. It is about presence. When people sense that you are not desperate for their approval, they become more cautious with how they treat you. Niceness tries to win favor. Strength earns respect without trying. It speaks through your posture, your tone, and the calm way you say no without apology. The most powerful version of this balance is when kindness and strength exist together. You are still warm, caring, and approachable, but you are not someone who can be manipulated. People can enjoy your kindness, but they cannot exploit it. They can appreciate your help, but they cannot assume it. This blend creates a magnetic effect. People gravitate toward you not because you please them, but because you elevate them. That is the kind of presence Machiavelli would consider both wise and effective. 7. Why consistency builds respect faster than talent. People often assume respect comes from having rare abilities or impressive achievements. While talent can earn admiration, it does not guarantee respect. What truly builds respect is consistency. When people know you will follow through, when your words match your actions, and when your behavior is steady no matter who is watching, they begin to view you as reliable. Reliability is a rare quality. Most people shift depending on mood, pressure, or convenience. Consistency separates you from the crowd because it shows discipline. The power of consistency is that it builds trust without you having to demand it. If you say you are going to do something and you always do it, people recognize that your commitments carry weight. They do not have to guess or hope. They know. That certainty is what gives your voice more strength. Even those who do not personally like you will take you seriously because you have proven that you do not operate on impulse or weak intention. Respect grows from clear patterns, not occasional moments of excellence. Consistency also reinforces your boundaries. When people see you make the same choices over time, they understand that your standards are not negotiable. Your behavior teaches them how to treat you. If you allow disrespect one day and reject it the next, people will test you again. But if your responses are steady, they learn quickly that crossing your line has predictable consequences, that predictability is what forms authority. Not dominance, not fear, just a clear message: you are someone who stands firm. 8. Controlled emotion as a form of power. One of Machiavelli's most relevant lessons today is the importance of emotional control. This does not mean suppressing your feelings or becoming robotic. It means not allowing your emotions to dictate your decisions. People who react impulsively become predictable. They can be provoked, they can be manipulated, they can be guided into mistakes simply by triggering the right emotional response. When you learn to stay calm under pressure, you remove that leverage from others. You become harder to read and harder to influence. Controlled emotion feels powerful because it shifts the dynamic in every interaction. When someone tries to criticize you, provoke you, or pressure you, your calmness signals that their tactics have no effect. This disrupts the pattern they expected and forces them to adjust their tone. Even in conflict, a calm presence commands respect. People instinctively trust those who remain steady when things get tense, because steadiness suggests competence. It also creates psychological contrast. The calmer you are, the more their emotional outbursts look unreasonable. Emotional control is not about silence, it is about intentional expression. You pick your moments to speak, you choose your battles, you refuse to respond in the heat of the moment. This discipline protects your reputation, it protects your decision-making, and most importantly, it protects your power. Machiavelli understood that leaders who react emotionally are easy to manipulate. Leaders who stay composed shape outcomes instead of being shaped by them. Emotional control is not coldness, it is strategy in its purest form. 9. The strength of indifference. Indifference is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. It does not mean lacking emotion. It means refusing to let your value be determined by someone else's reaction. When you are indifferent to opinions that do not matter, you gain a freedom most people never experience. You stop bending yourself to fit expectations. You stop shrinking in fear of being judged. You stop trying to earn approval from people who have no impact on your life. Indifference clears the noise, so your real voice can be heard. Indifference also creates psychological leverage. People are used to others seeking validation. They expect you to be affected by their praise or criticism. When you are not, you disrupt the social script. Suddenly, they do not know how to influence you. They do not know which buttons to push. They do not know which reactions to expect. This unpredictability gives you an advantage because people treat what they cannot control with more caution. Your lack of emotional dependency forces them to respect your autonomy. The power of indifference lies in its balance. You are not careless or detached from reality. You still care about the people and values that matter, but you stop giving emotional energy to opinions rooted in envy, insecurity, or manipulation. Machiavelli emphasized that a leader must care selectively. Caring about everything makes you weak. Caring about the right things makes you unstoppable. Indifference filters out the empty noise so your attention stays fixed on what actually moves you forward. 10. How commanding your presence changes how others treat you. Presence is not about being the loudest person in the room. It is not about overpowering others or demanding attention. Commanding presence comes from the quiet certainty that you belong wherever you stand. It is built from self-control, confidence, and a clear awareness of your worth. People can sense when someone carries themselves with intention. They watch how you move, how you speak, and how you react under pressure. When your presence is grounded, Others instinctively adjust their own behavior to match it. A strong presence makes people think twice before disrespecting you. It sets an unspoken tone. Even without raising your voice, others understand that you are not someone to be dismissed or underestimated. This does not come from aggression. It comes from the balance between calm expression and firm boundaries. The more you practice standing tall in who you are, the more your presence does the talking for you. You do not have to force seriousness. You simply embody it. Presence also shapes opportunities. People trust those who look like they trust themselves. They subconsciously believe that someone who carries confidence must have a reason for it. They give you more space, listen more closely, and expect you to lead even when you have not asked for that role. Commanding your presence is not about intimidation. It is about alignment. When your internal strength matches your external behavior, respect follows naturally. 11. The dark power of respect in relationships and leadership. Respect influences relationships in a way that liking never will. In friendships, respect ensures that people do not take you for granted. It keeps the dynamic balanced and healthy. When you show that you are not afraid to walk away from disrespect, people treat you with more care. They listen more closely. They take your feelings seriously. Being liked may get you invited to the table, but being respected decides how people behave when you are sitting there. In leadership, respect becomes the foundation of stability. Teams follow a leader they trust, not one who desperately needs approval. Approval-seeking leaders avoid hard decisions, change their rules depending on who is in the room, and collapse under pressure. Respect-driven leaders stay consistent, even when those choices are unpopular. Machiavelli argued that stability comes from strong expectations, not soft promises. People may not always enjoy strict leadership, but they rely on it more than the type that shifts with every complaint. Respect also strengthens romantic and personal relationships. It creates mutual accountability. Both people know that their words matter, their actions matter, and their choices carry consequences. Love without respect becomes resentment. Respect without love becomes distance. But when the two coexist, the relationship becomes unshakable. You are not afraid to address problems, set boundaries, or express your truth because your partner recognizes the strength behind your honesty. Respect gives love structure. Without it, even passion loses its power. 12. Becoming someone who chooses respect over approval. Choosing respect over approval is not a one-time decision. It is a lifestyle shift. It requires letting go of old habits built on fear, insecurity, and childhood conditioning. At first it feels uncomfortable. You will worry that people will misunderstand you. You will fear losing connections. But what you eventually learn is that anything you lose by setting boundaries was never yours to begin with. The relationships that stay become stronger. The ones that disappear were built on your silence, not your authenticity. To embody respect, you must start by respecting yourself. That means speaking honestly. It means saying no without apology. It means choosing your values over someone else's comfort. It means giving your time only to the people and projects that deserve it. Self-respect also means recognizing your limits without guilt. Once you start living this way, you attract people who appreciate strength instead of exploiting gentleness. Your world becomes clearer, cleaner, and more aligned with who you truly are. The final step is embracing the reality that not everyone will like you, and that is perfectly fine. Being disliked is not a failure. It is a sign that you are living with intention instead of bending to please everyone. Machiavelli believed that a respected person has influence that lasts, while a merely liked person fades into the background. When you stop begging for affection and start building authority, you step into a version of yourself that is harder to break, harder to manipulate and impossible to ignore. That is the dark power of respect. It frees you from needing permission to be strong,